Hello, folks. Welcome to another episode of Coffee and HEMA, where I try and make a point about HEMA in the time it takes to make a coffee. I want to talk today about the phenomena that I think we're seeing pretty much across the globe with HEMA events right now, which is that they are selling out fast. I certainly know the ones that I run, Wessex League, are currently all selling out, pretty much selling out, at least the open competitions, within the space of a day. The women's aren't quite selling out, but we always over provision for those anyway. And I know some events that I've tried to go to or wanted to go to or have gone to have also sold out similarly within a day or certainly within a week. And things were selling quickly pre-pandemic, but Wessex League, we increased the numbers by 20 to 40% depending on the tournament, and even those sold out still within that day. So this is definitely a real phenomenon. And I know from conversations with people, it's happening in other countries as well. So why? Well, the short version, the really obvious answer, is that the demand for HEMA is outstripping the supply. And not to make everything about the pandemic, but I'm pretty sure that the pandemic is a major factor in this, and it's kind of caused this weird glut in terms of how things get run versus how many people are interested in attending them. So I'm going to speak mostly from perspective of our club in this, because I've just run some numbers for something else that we're doing, and I know it quite well. The London Historical Fencing Club, the club I run, has grown significantly post-pandemic. So we were about 60 members before the pandemic. When we reopened, we reopened with a bit shy of 40 members. Over the course of the first year, many people came back, so it's not quite really 40. That's just 40 people who were from before and who still wanted to be there, right from when we first opened. But it was probably more like 50 if you count the people who came back in drips and drabs. We're now at 120, or just shy of 120. So no matter how you look at that, right, it's 200% compared to pre-pandemic levels, 300% nearly, or 300%, compared to immediately after pandemic levels. That's a pretty phenomenal growth, in kind of two years' time, really, depending on how you're counting it, or 3 years of active running time. Obviously, we weren't growing when we were shut for the pandemic. There have been new clubs popped up that are very large clubs by certainly pre-pandemic level standards. I know the other clubs in London, I don't know their numbers, the same way I know mine, but I know that they're all pretty full, and those growth numbers from our club are despite the fact that we're turning people away, right? So if you assume that the new people are interested in doing events at the same level as everybody else, interest in going to a HEMA event has more or less doubled, right? So that's one factor, that you've doubled interest and you've increased by 25 to 40%, like Wessex did. Funnily enough, you haven't increased it by enough. But the other factor is that, and this is again the fault of the pandemic, that the amount of events out there and the amount of people willing to organize events has dropped. And I can completely understand this, because a lot of event organization is kind of a momentum thing, and as soon as you're done with one, you're already thinking about the next year, and you're thinking, okay, I gotta run it, gotta do that, gotta get my ducks in order, that kind of stuff. And particularly with Wessex, when we ran 4 events, we've dropped to 3 this year. Every year, that was this constant cycle of, oh yes, we're done, but now we've got to start again because the next event is only 9 months away. And that momentum kind of fell away because everybody was forced to stop during the pandemic. And there were many events where I've heard anecdotally this, but essentially what happened was that the organizer was somebody who was in this cycle of kind of, okay, you've got to get the next event, got to get the next event, got to get the next event. And then they took a break because of the pandemic and didn't quite restart it. And the people who would then, they would hand over to weren't there because they didn't have this kind of transition or anything like that. So some of the big events, Dutch Lions Cup, Swordfish, haven't restarted for kind of similar reasons, as well as other events as well. So we have a situation where we've got demand has doubled and supply has not halved, but certainly reduced in many cases as well. And we haven't yet managed to fill the vacuum. And part of the reason for that is that classic economics would tell us that, okay, well then the supply will meet will grow to hit the demand. But the problem is that pretty much everyone running these things is running them, for the joy of running them. We don't make a profit on Wessex. It's explicitly geared towards that. Fine, we could probably raise the prices and still sell out, but that's not really what we're aiming for. With it, that's not our goal. And but none of the people who organise Wessex, and there's 6 of us on the core committee, none of us are making a living out of this, right? To make a living out of it, as you would think for the classic economics theory to apply, we would need to increase the prices quite significantly, and the volume of events that we're doing would then presumably go up if we can make a living off it, and probably still take a massive pay cut to try and do it. I mean, or augment it with some other HEMA income. So because these are all sort of amateur run events that people are running for the love of it, this sort of incentive to increase supply from the people currently running events isn't there, right? We're all pretty much already at our maximum capacity. So how do we solve this? The short version is those of us who are currently running HEMA events aren't the ones to solve it. We're already doing our part. Here's the call to action. What we need is far more new events, which could also give us a nice variety of events, different levels. We still in this kind of weird situation. This happened at the Wessex that ran a month ago, right? We're in a weird situation that we have both people who are doing their first tournament ever and number 4 in the world for the weapon in the same event, right? And that's just crazy in terms of what you would think for any other sport. You wouldn't even consider that. So we are now at the point where demand is high enough, I think, that we can have more tailored events than we have in the past. Tailored to a weapon, beginners events, intermediate events, size classes maybe. I've talked to a lot of people about the interest of doing classes based upon people who are smaller, people who are shorter. See what that's like. Height classes or weight classes, possible as well. And that could be at one event or another event, or could just be informal sparring events. But clearly what we need is more events. And if we need more events, we cannot rely on the small number of individuals who are currently running events. We need more people to step up and think, I've got this idea for an event, I should go do it. If you're in the UK and you are interested in doing such a thing, please feel free to reach out to me, reach out to Wessex, and we can discuss whether we can support you on that. If you're not in the UK, you can reach out to me and I'll give you advice, but my ability to support you will depend on whether you're willing to pay for my flight to get to wherever you happen to be. But realistically speaking, as I say, the only way to solve the fact that all HEMA events are currently selling out is for more people to make more events. Thanks for watching.